Hello, welcome, welcome. Heather Alessa Mason here. For those who have seen the Face Off videos, stars Jill TRW. Today I want to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the Resident Evil series and how I think it has declined drastically since 5. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to listen to this and be like, oh, you're wrong about so many things, but, you know, I'm expressing an opinion. So, you can tell me I'm wrong all you want, but that doesn't make it so. It's an opinion. An opinion can't be wrong. So, I'm going to go ahead and crack open my energy drink here. Monster Zero Ultra for the win. Not that you can see it, because you're looking at a picture, but... Okay, so let's get into it. A couple of the most recent installments in the Resident Evil gaming series, not the movie series, have really disappointed me, and I'm going to go into some detail as to why. Now, 4 wasn't exactly what fans wanted. It was more of a way to get other casual people into the series, and that's fine. I can kind of see why Capcom made 4 the way they did. Plus, with the graphics now and everything, the old style games were kind of outdated. So I can kind of understand why Capcom took that turn. But, 4 was not what I would like to call a Resident Evil game. It was more of an action game. It doesn't seem like it really belongs in the series. It just seems like a game that borrowed characters from the original series and threw them in there. But then again, you know, maybe to some people it does seem like an actual Resident Evil game. And I know at one point the scary has to stop and there has to be more action. Yes, I do completely understand that, because the first 3 games were the gems to most people. Excuse me. And, that's where a lot of the nostalgia for Resident Evil fans lies, was within the first 3 games. And I can understand that, because the first 3 games are what opened up this pathway of something that we love. And it's good and everything that Capcom is changing things around, but it caused so much outrage about the changes that they've done that they tried to revert back to what they used to be, and they just failed. I mean, they failed. And again, my opinion, don't flame me, because I'll just delete your comment, but I'm gonna go into something a little bit. So the first 3 games were all about zombies, the T-virus, mutations, and escaping the city. It took 3 games to escape the city, and then the city was nuked. Okay, that's fine and dandy. I see why the city was nuked. But continuing the story on for more than 1 or 2 games after that seems really, really redundant and pointless. And let me explain why. The main characters that we love, you know, Chris and Jill, Claire, Leon, Barry, Rebecca, all those characters from the first 3 games, the only ones that ever really got a chance to shine more after the first 3 games were Jill and Chris. Excuse me. Energy drinks make me burp. I'm sorry. Jill and Chris. Leon, who has had way too much fame, I think. Wesker, but he had reason. You know, him being the villain. Villains don't die that easily. It's just... Fuck logic. That's the rule here. Villains don't die. Look at Ganondorf in the Legend of Zelda series. Every other game, he's there, again, after seemingly dying. So, I don't know. But, what I'm trying to get at is, you know, a lot of these characters from the first games, they had their moments where, you know, they turned into the characters that we love. But these other characters that didn't get very many games after the first original ones, that's disappointing. You know, I would have liked to see Rebecca in another game other than Mercenaries Reunion for Resident Evil 5. Yes, her graphics look good, her model looks good, I think they designed her in a very good way, you know, her voice acting is okay, what you hear of it, but, you know, Rebecca really deserved to be in more games. As did Barry, he just disappeared. It doesn't seem like he died. You know, as far as I know, he escaped the mansion incident. If you get a certain ending in Resident Evil 3, he's the pilot of the helicopter that rescues Jill and Carlos. So he's still alive, but we have no idea what happened to him. Or maybe I'm just not looking at the files that I need to look at, but I read pretty much every file that I pick up in Resident Evil games, and so far I haven't run across any that have said anything about Barry at all, but I could be wrong. Anyway, back at the topic. The reason why I think that the series is drastically going downhill is because it seems like now Cashcom, no longer Capcom, they are Cashcom now, are pulling shit out of their asses to make money. I realize that Capcom is running a business and they need money to fund that business, but in doing so, they're ruining a series that so many people loved, and that's going to make them lose money. Yes, Capcom has other games that people enjoy, like Street Fighter and stuff like that, Mega Man, but I'm thinking about old games. But, you know, Resident Evil was like their pride and joy, it seemed. And when you have something like that, you have to take care of it and nurture it, and it will die eventually. Everything dies. That goes for game series is I don't even know. Correct. I don't know. Series with a little apostrophe at the end of the S. I don't know. Everything dies. Resident Evil, in my opinion, should have died after Code Veronica. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the shit in these newer games is like mind-boggling with how little sense it makes. And I just don't understand, like, if Capcom was smoking something when they were designing these games and writing the stories, or what they were doing. And let me explain. Alright. Now, when Resident Evil 5 came out, a lot of people were excited. A lot of the screenshots and a couple of the trailers, they looked really, really good. I mean, you knew right at the start that you weren't going to be fighting zombies, and it seemed like everybody accepted that, at least for the most part. But something that still eats away at me is, you know, I just have a big question. Why? Why did they do Resident Evil 5 the way they did? Why did they do Resident Evil 4 the way they did? Now, the reason why I bring 4 into this is because originally the game series Devil May Cry, also published by Capcom, created by Capcom, developed by Capcom, whatever, Capcom, they did it. Devil May Cry, the very first one, was originally meant to be designed as Resident Evil 4. But they didn't like the way the story was going. They thought it was straying too far from the original story's path, so they scrapped it and they turned it into Devil May Cry. That's one of the reasons why Leon and Dante look so similar. And, you know, I just read this the other day, actually. I read that Devil May Cry, when it was going to be developed as Resident Evil 4, it was going to make it so that Leon had to fight demons instead of, you know, like, virus-born creatures. Which that would have pissed a lot of fans off, because Resident Evil is not really supernatural. It's, you know, it's real life. People fucking with chemicals that they should not be fucking with. And I will bet you money that somewhere in the world, some crazy RE fanatic got it into his head that he wants to be like Wesker, he wants to be like Birkin, and he's going to develop some kind of virus and kill everybody. Yeah, I'll bet you that's what's happening. So I am expecting a zombie apocalypse. You know, shit happens. It's very possible that it could happen. So, yeah, Devil May Cry was originally Resident Evil 4, but they scrapped it and turned RE4 into what it is now, which still strays a little too far away from the main story. I mean, you only hear Umbrella mentioned like one time, and that's towards the end of the game when you first run into Krauser. Like, other than that, Umbrella and any mention of Umbrella is nowhere to be found, and I don't even think it's anywhere to be found in a file that you pick up, because I've read all the files, and I seriously don't remember anything about Umbrella in there. So, excuse me, I think I have allergies. I live in Nevada, and the pollen in the air, because it's the start of spring, is like making me have the sniffles and stuff. I apologize if you hear me sniffling a lot, and I also apologize if you can hear the ding of a notification on Xbox. I have my Xbox on, so but yeah. So, okay. And one of the things that a lot of people did not like about Resident Evil 4 was it was an escort mission. It might not have been for the whole game, but for the parts that it was an escort mission, it was hell. It was literally hell, because Ashley is so useless. A bear trap could kill her. And in fact, that almost happened in my game. That's how ridiculous it is. So, what I don't understand is why Capcom decided to continue the series like that, but then make Leon's prime mission to rescue the president's daughter. Yes, I know that after Resident Evil 2, he began working for the government as a secret agent or something. Something like that. I don't know. Don't fucking kill me if I got it wrong. And, you know, I understand, you know, the need to rescue the president's daughter. I understand why he sent Leon to do it, because Leon is good at what he does. He's a survivor. But, you know, they could have left that as, like, a side story, or put it in a file or something to give Leon a little bit more backstory, and let Leon go to a place that was also fucked with by a T-virus outbreak that no one really knew about until it, you know, blossomed, and make a game from there. It is possible. I know Capcom has the brains to do it, because they've made some incredible games. But their series for Resident Evil is seriously declining in awesome. And, you know, I'm not saying that from a biased point of view. I'm saying it from a person who has played and experienced every Resident Evil game and has, you know, noticed that there is a huge change. And if they want to continue the story, I guess that's okay. And I understand that you can't keep having the same story with the same plot line every single game. But the changes that Capcom is making for their games now are so drastic, it throws the entire storyline out of the loop. Now, someone told me the other day, it might have been my friend Justin, or it might have been someone else. I think it was... No, it was someone else. It wasn't you. Sorry, Justin. I thought it was you. Love you. One of my friends on Xbox, we were in a party together, and everybody was talking about the Resident Evil series. Now, this friend of mine is a die-hard, hardcore, bleed-it-out-of-his-body Resident Evil fan. It's ridiculous, but, you know, I understand why. And one of the things he talked about, he told me that Simmons, the main villain in Leon's campaign for Resident Evil 6, was actually the guy who set off the nuke in Raccoon City. And the whole time he's telling me this, I'm just shaking my head. I'm shaking my head and I'm going, what? What? Because I don't understand. I mean, the first time you ever hear about this Simmons guy is in Resident Evil 6, so it makes absolutely no fucking sense. Not that it really matters who set off the nuke. The point is Raccoon City is destroyed because it was, unsavable, but you're throwing characters in there that you have no idea where the fuck they came from, and it's just ridiculous. And a couple of the characters that I'm talking about are Helena, and while I like Helena, I think she's a really cool character. I think she's one of the best. I'm also talking about Jake Mueller, or actually Jake Wesker, because he really is Wesker's son. Now, when I first heard about this is before the game even came out, and a lot of people were going, what the fuck, Wesker has a son? Who did he bone? And I was thinking the same thing. But one of the things that I remembered was Wesker was in fact, damn, I can't think of the word. Oh, he was created, like, by a blah. You know what? I think you get what I'm saying. He was created in a lab by Spencer. I think that's the story. If not, I apologize. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't bitch me out about it, because I'm having a hard time keeping up with all these drastic changes that Capcom is coming up with. And so here comes Jake Wesker, Wesker's son, and suddenly everybody's like, what the fuck? So if Wesker was not in fact created and he was born like a normal person, then that means that he had to have fucked somebody for him to have a son. And what's worse is, look at how old Jake is. He looks like he's in his mid-20s or early 30s. He looks about as old as Wesker did in the first game. So Jake's been around a while, and how come there has been no mention of him whatsoever until now? That's one of the things that I'm dying to know. But, you can't really question things like that because we'll probably not get an answer. So, yes, I'm going to switch over back to the original topic. When I first played 5, I thought it was okay at best. It was okay. I was really upset when I'd found out that Jill was dead, when it showed her tombstone and everything. I was actually incredibly upset, because Jill was my favorite character. She still is. So, throughout my course of playing Resident Evil 5, when you see that she's actually alive, I was blowing up balloons, hanging streamers, celebrating. That's how happy I was. Because, it said, oh, she's dead, showed her tombstone, and had no mention of how she died. One of the things that I actually thought was that she died from the T-virus that Nemesis inflicted into her body in one of the fights in Resident Evil 3, which would have been possible. The virus could have been dormant for a while and then suddenly awakened and fucked her up. That's what I thought happened. But no. You come to find out that Wesker, Chris, and Jill all had this epic fight. Jill tackled him out a window. They landed on the ground. Wesker survived. Jill barely survived. Wesker saved Jill, put her in a cryogenic tube, and then put her under his control. And that's just one of the things that I didn't understand, like what Capcom was doing with this. Why did Wesker need a peon to do his dirty work? He could have done it himself, and he could have just killed Jill like he'd probably been wanting to for the longest time because she was Chris's partner. So I have no idea. So Resident Evil 5 was okay at best. It wasn't great. It wasn't really good. It didn't reach any of those points for me. It was fun. I'll throw that in there. Yes, it was fun. Some of the Wesker fights that you had to go through, like the one where you fought Wesker and Jill and then you just fought Jill, that was fun. And then the scene where you fought Wesker, where the planes were. That was also fun. More notably, being able to punch the shit out of Wesker's face. That was also extremely fun. One of the things that I absolutely despised about Resident Evil 5 was the rapid change that Chris went through. What I'm talking about is his fucking steroids. Okay, he had to have been doing steroids. Because I have seen people lift weights to get bulkier, and they don't look anything like that. They have to take steroids to get even close to what Chris looks like. And that's one of the things that bothered me, is that, you know, Chris was gone for a while. He was pretty scrawny but muscular in Code Veronica, but he wasn't like the fucking Hulk. And then suddenly in RE5, here comes Chris, and he is the Hulk. And he's punching boulders and shit. So I don't understand what the point of that was, why he had to have such a rapid upgrade in his build. And then in Resident Evil 6, they toned Chris's build down. So the process that I saw was Chris started out as scrawny with some muscle, then he turned into the Hulk, and then he turned into like the Hulk's little brother. Where he wasn't scrawny like he was in the older games, but he wasn't as big as he was in 5. Like, where did his muscle go? Did he suddenly just say fuck it and not ever work out again, or stop taking his dose of roids every day? I don't know. And I know this is turning out to be more of a rant than anything, and I do apologize, but it is relevant because it's my thoughts on how I think the series is drastically dropping in quality, people. I swear to God. Capcom could have done so much better. Okay, so RE5 was okay. So I'll start talking about 6 now. Now, I played all of 6. I played every campaign. And yes, you get a lot of money, or you get a lot of content for your money. I mean, the game is pretty long. Each campaign is roughly 10 hours long unless you breeze through it like a fucking ninja and don't pick up anything. Excuse me, which will then probably make the game a lot harder. But, you know, everybody was looking forward to 6 because Capcom had mentioned that they were putting zombies back in. And everybody was like, yay, zombies! Zombies are returning. We're gonna have it like the old games again. Wrong. The only campaign in that game that ever had zombies of any sort was Leon's. And it was shitty. Because now Capcom's introducing these new enemies, you know, the Jawavo, and all these other fucking weird-ass enemies. And, you know, it just sucks, because these people are milking their series for money now, because they know that people will buy them in hopes of having, you know, a game that was better than the last one. But it's not happening for most people. And, you know, a lot of people argue that the older games are the best in the series, and I have to agree. But then you've got the people who tell the people who like the older games to quit being nostalgic fanboys and, you know, all this shit. You can't tell us to stop being nostalgic fanboys, or in my case, fangirl, because we are the ones who pay money to play Capcom's games. We are the ones who continue to have faith in the Resident Evil series, and we are the ones who are constantly being let down. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City was a disgrace. They had a good idea going for it, but they dropped the ball with that one, big time. I played all of Operation Raccoon City, and the only thing I could say about it was it had its fun points. The controls fucking blew, big time. I had heard from a couple people that the people who created Operation Raccoon City were actually the same people who developed SOCOM. Go figure. That's probably why the game plays like a shooter, like a military game. Now, I understand the point they were trying to make. They were trying to give us something, you know, to fill in the blank while we waited for Resident Evil 6 to be released. Yes, that was nice of them to go through that trouble. But, you know, Operation Raccoon City, it just sucked. It had some fun points about it. It was cool being able to see, you know, from the other side of the fence, working as Umbrella, but, you know, it's non-canonical in the series, and that's fine, I guess, but, you know, they could have done so much better. The controls were lousy. Every time you tried to hide and, like, duck and cover under something, it took you forever to get out of that position because your character kept sticking to the walls. It was annoying. So, yeah. I just think that, you know, the series is really dropping in quality, and I think that Capcom is officially running out of ideas to keep this series alive. Now, if they are going to make Resident Evil 7, and part of me hopes that they do, but part of me hopes that they don't, I really hope that they put more heart into it like they did with their older games, because, you know, they're losing a fuck ton of fan base because of the quality of their newer games. Some of the achievements in Resident Evil 6 were ridiculous. Like, you would get an achievement every time you'd complete the campaign on a different difficulty, but with as long as each fucking campaign is, that game is too long. I have said, fuck it, I'm not even gonna bother getting all the achievements in that game because the game is too long. You know, I don't want to spend 2 months trying to play Resident Evil 6 on harder difficulties to get a fucking achievement. There are other games that I would like to play, and I'm going to do that. So for those of you who are about to flame me saying that, you know, I'm not dedicated and yeah, you're right, I'm not dedicated. I don't care. I just don't care. I like the fact that the game is long, but for achievements like that, it's almost too long. Like, it takes so much time to go through every campaign over and over again just to get the achievements for it. It's ridiculous. So, you know, regarding that, I don't know. You know, other people's opinions are different. I don't want this video to turn into a great big flame war, because that's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this video for one reason, to get my channel started. 2, because it's something to talk about. And 3, because I have, you know, feelings and opinions towards the series now. One of my favorite series that I love has gone downhill. And I know that a lot of people who've been fans of the series since the first game will probably agree. And while Resident Evil 5 and 6, and I guess you could throw 4 in there, are, you know, titles with Resident Evil on them, they don't really act much like Resident Evil games. They seem like they would be good as a standalone series with another title on it. Because the direction that Capcom has taken the games now is just not what most fans would agree with. And I know that there are a lot of people that love Resident Evil 6, and for those of you that do love it, and you are watching this right now, I'm glad you love it. I'm glad Capcom made something that you like and that you want to play all the time. That's good. That's good. That means that Capcom is able to please some people. But again, you know, there are people like me who would say that the series blows now, and it stopped being cool after 3 or Code Veronica, or maybe even 4. Everybody's opinion is different. But yeah, you know, I just thought I'd get this out there. I'm more than willing to have a debate with people if it's a friendly debate. Sorry, I went to school, I graduated, I know how to talk, I know English, but sometimes I think my brain just likes to, you know, stroke out on me. Sorry. But yeah, if you guys, you know, want to put something in the comments, how you feel and whatnot, feel free. Just keep it friendly, because, you know, I don't want this to turn into a great big fight over my opinion on the series as a whole. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling. I know this was more of a rant than a discussion, and I apologize, but, you know, when something I care about fucks up like this, I tend to get a little bit mad. But hey, you know, like I've said in the past, humans are emotional creatures and we all react to things in a different way. So, yes, I will leave it at that. This video has gotten extremely long. So, stay tuned for Let's Plays and gameplay videos of like Assassin's Creed, Silent Hill, maybe even Tomb Raider. Subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Thank you for watching.